Jake stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the collar of his jersey and smoothing down his hair. The reflection staring back at him was that of a confident star quarterback ready to take on the world. But beneath that polished exterior lay a simmering rivalry that had defined his high school experience, one that revolved around Ethan, the smart, sarcastic leader of the gaming club. The annual charity event was fast approaching, and tensions were already rising. The event was supposed to promote unity among students, but for Jake and Ethan, it felt more like a battleground. They were scheduled to face off in a series of competitions that pitted Jake's athletic prowess against Ethan's strategic gaming skills. As he thought about the challenge ahead, Jake felt a mixture of excitement and dread. "Let's go, Jake. Time to show those nerds," whose boss Tyler shouted from across the locker room, his voice echoing against the metal lockers. "Yeah, let's crush them," another teammate chimed in, rallying the group. Jake smirked, feeling the adrenaline surge through him. "You know it," he replied, his competitive spirit igniting. But deep down, Jake couldn't shake the nagging feeling that this rivalry was becoming more complicated. Every taunt directed at Ethan felt like a double-edged sword. As they prepared to leave for the event, he caught a glimpse of Ethan across the gymnasium, surrounded by his fellow gamers. The way Ethan's eyes sparkled with determination stirred something inside Jake, a flicker of respect mixed with an urge to prove himself. The charity event was held in the school gym, transformed into a vibrant space filled with colorful banners and enthusiastic students. The atmosphere buzzed with energy, and Jake felt the pressure mounting as he prepared to step onto the stage. He spotted Ethan, wearing a graphic tee that showcased his favorite video game character, and Jake felt an unexpected pang of admiration. "Ready to lose, Jake?" Ethan called out, a teasing smile on his face. "Not a chance, loser," Jake shot back, trying to maintain his bravado. As the competitions began, Jake threw himself into the games, determined to show everyone his strength. The first few rounds went smoothly, and the cheers from the crowd fueled his confidence. However, every time he glanced over at Ethan, he felt an unfamiliar tension. It was as if their rivalry was evolving into something more complex. The final round approached, and the stakes had never been higher. Jake's team was set to compete against Ethan's crew in a highly anticipated gaming showdown. The atmosphere shifted, and Jake could feel the eyes of the entire school on them. "Let's go, team," he shouted, trying to rally his friends, but the moment felt heavy with expectation. He couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't just competing against Ethan but also against his own feelings. As they took their positions for the game, the crowd erupted into cheers. Jake felt the rush of adrenaline, but it was quickly overshadowed by Ethan's focused gaze. They exchanged quick glances, and the intensity of their rivalry crackled in the air. The game began, and every move felt charged with unspoken words. Ethan played with precision, his concentration unwavering. Jake pushed himself harder, determined to outplay his rival. But with each passing moment, Jake's frustration grew as he realized that Ethan was more than just a rival, he was a formidable opponent. "Come on, Jake. You can do better than that," Ethan taunted, a grin spreading across his face. Jake gritted his teeth, feeling a mixture of anger and admiration. "Shut up, Ethan," he shot back, trying to focus. The game intensified, and the cheers from the crowd echoed in Jake's ears. He couldn't afford to lose. Not to Ethan. Not in front of everyone. But as the competition wore on, he felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him, and the tension began to unravel. Finally, after a grueling match, Jake and his team emerged victorious. The cheers of his friends filled the air, but Jake felt hollow. He glanced at Ethan, who was standing there, a mix of disappointment and respect in his eyes. "Nice job, Jake," Ethan said, his tone surprisingly sincere. "Thanks," Jake replied, feeling a flicker of something he couldn't quite name. As the event continued, Jake's victory felt bittersweet. He had defeated Ethan, but the rush of triumph was overshadowed by the realization that he didn't want to see Ethan as just a rival anymore. The line between friendship and rivalry had blurred, and Jake felt a growing confusion about his feelings. "Let's get some fresh air," Tyler suggested, pulling Jake away from the crowd. "You need to celebrate your win." They stepped outside, and Jake felt the cool breeze against his skin. The adrenaline from the competition faded, replaced by a sense of unease. He had won, but at what cost? As they stood outside, Jake's thoughts drifted back to Ethan. What was happening to him? Why did he feel drawn to his rival? "Hey, what's with the long face?" Tyler asked, breaking into Jake's thoughts. "Nothing," Jake replied, forcing a smile. Just thinking about the game. Right, Tyler said, raising an eyebrow. You're not still stuck on that nerd, are you? Jake felt a wave of irritation wash over him. He's not a nerd, Tyler. He's actually really good at what he does. Sure, but you're the star quarterback. You're not supposed to be friends with him, Tyler shot back, a teasing tone in his voice. Maybe it's time to rethink that, Jake replied, feeling the weight of his own words. Tyler laughed, but the laughter felt hollow. Just be careful, man. Rivalries are there for a reason. As they returned to the gym, Jake felt a sense of clarity wash over him. The rivalry with Ethan had become more complicated, and he knew he had to confront it. But how? Later that evening, as the event wound down, Jake found himself wandering the halls, his mind racing. He spotted Ethan across the gym, speaking with a group of friends. The sight stirred something within him, and he felt a pull to approach. Hey, Ethan, Jake called out, surprising himself. Ethan turned, his eyes widening in surprise. Hey, Jake, what's up? I just wanted to say. Good game, Jake said, feeling a mix of nervousness and anticipation. Thanks. You played well too, Ethan replied, a hint of a smile gracing his lips. The moment hung between them, filled with unspoken words. Jake could feel the tension building, and for a fleeting second, the world around them faded away. Do you want to hang out sometime? Jake blurted out, surprising himself with the directness of his question. Ethan blinked, clearly taken aback. You mean like, outside of this whole rivalry? Yeah, Jake said, his heart racing. I think it'd be nice to get to know each other without all the competition. Ethan's expression softened, and Jake felt a rush of hope. I'd like that, he replied, a genuine smile spreading across his face. Great. Let's figure out a time, Jake said, feeling a sense of exhilaration at the prospect. As they exchanged numbers, Jake felt a surge of excitement and fear. He had crossed a line, but it felt right. The rivalry was evolving, and he was ready to embrace it. Later that night, as Jake lay in bed, he couldn't help but smile. The storm had changed everything, and for the first time, he felt a sense of hope. Maybe this unexpected connection with Ethan was exactly what he needed to break free from the pressures of high school life. The following days passed in a blur. Jake and Ethan began texting regularly, and their conversations flowed easily. Each message felt like a step forward, and Jake found himself looking forward to their interactions. They planned to meet up that weekend, and Jake felt a mix of excitement and nerves. The idea of spending time with Ethan outside of school was both thrilling and terrifying. When Saturday arrived, Jake spent the morning pacing in his room, nervous energy coursing through him. He wanted everything to go perfectly. As he glanced at the clock, he felt his heart race. It was almost time to meet Ethan. They had agreed to meet at a local cafe, a cozy spot known for its atmosphere and great coffee. Jake arrived a little early, scanning the area for Ethan. When Ethan finally walked in, Jake felt a rush of warmth at the sight of him. Ethan looked relaxed in a simple hoodie and jeans, his messy hair falling into his eyes as he scanned the room. When their eyes met, Ethan's face lit up with a smile that sent butterflies fluttering in Jake's stomach. Hey, Ethan greeted, his voice cheerful as he approached. Hey, you made it, Jake replied, feeling a mix of relief and excitement. They settled into a corner booth, the atmosphere buzzing with chatter and laughter. Jake felt a sense of comfort wash over him as they began to chat, the conversation flowing effortlessly. So, what do you like to do when you're not dominating the gaming world? Jake asked, curious about Ethan's interests. Well, I love drawing, Ethan said, his eyes lighting up. I want to become a game designer one day. I spend hours sketching characters and designing worlds. Wow, that's really cool, Jake said, genuinely impressed. I never knew you had that talent. Ethan shrugged, a hint of shyness creeping into his demeanor. It's just a hobby for now, but it's something I'm really passionate about. Jake felt a warmth in his chest as he listened. You should show me some of your designs sometime. I'd love to see them. Ethan smiled, his cheeks flushing slightly. I'd like that. Their conversation continued, diving deeper into their passions and dreams. Jake shared his own love for music, revealing that he played guitar in a local band. Seriously? That's awesome, Ethan exclaimed, his eyes wide with excitement. I'd love to hear you play sometime. I'd be down for that, Jake replied, feeling a surge of confidence. As they talked, the initial awkwardness began to fade, replaced by a genuine connection. With each passing moment, Jake felt the weight of the world outside slip away. But as they shared laughter and stories, Jake couldn't shake the nagging feeling that their relationship was still under scrutiny. He could feel the weight of judgment from their peers, lurking just beneath the surface. "What do you think about what everyone's been saying?" Jake finally asked, hesitating as he broached the topic. Ethan looked thoughtful for a moment. "Honestly, it's annoying, but I'm trying to ignore it. I care more about what we have than what they think." "Me too," Jake admitted, feeling a rush of admiration for Ethan's strength. "But it's hard not to worry about how they'll react." "I get that," Ethan replied, his expression softening. "But we can't let them dictate our feelings. We have to be true to ourselves." Jake nodded, feeling a surge of determination. "You're right. I want to embrace this, no matter what anyone else thinks." As their conversation flowed into the evening, Jake felt a sense of clarity. The storm that had brought them together had also become a catalyst for change. Together, they were ready to navigate the challenges ahead, united in their growing bond. By the time they left the cafe, the sun had set, casting a warm glow over the streets. Jake felt lighter, as if the weight of expectation had lifted. "Thanks for today," Ethan said, his voice sincere as they walked side by side. "I really enjoyed it." "Me too," Jake replied, a smile spreading across his face. "We should do this more often." As they approached their respective homes, Jake felt a mix of excitement and fear about what lay ahead. The world outside still posed challenges, but for the first time, he felt ready to face them with Ethan by his side. The following days were filled with the thrill of discovery. Jake and Ethan continued to explore their relationship, finding comfort in each other amidst the chaos of high school. They faced challenges head-on, but each moment together solidified their connection. Their bond grew deeper with each passing day, and as they navigated the complexities of their lives, Jake felt a sense of hope blossoming within him. The rivalry that had once defined them was now a distant memory, replaced by something more profound: a partnership built on trust, understanding, and the promise of love. And as they moved forward, Jake knew they were ready to embrace whatever challenges awaited them, together. The following week passed in a blur of excitement and nervousness as Jake and Ethan navigated their new relationship. The initial thrill of their connection lingered, but the challenges that came with it began to surface. As they shared stolen moments between classes and during lunch, the world around them felt more intense, filled with a mixture of joy and apprehension. One afternoon, they found themselves sitting together in the school library, surrounded by the hushed whispers of students studying. The atmosphere was quiet, but Jake felt a tension in the air. He glanced over at Ethan, who was deeply engrossed in a game design book, a pencil tucked behind his ear. "Hey, what's that one about?" Jake asked, genuinely curious as he leaned closer to get a better look. "It's about character development and how to create engaging story arcs," Ethan replied, his eyes lighting up with enthusiasm. "It's fascinating how a well-developed character can drive the story forward." Jake felt a rush of admiration as he watched Ethan talk about his passion. "You really love this stuff, don't you?" "I do," Ethan said, a hint of shyness creeping into his voice. "It's something I want to pursue seriously one day." "That's awesome," Jake replied, feeling the warmth of Ethan's passion wash over him. "You should definitely go for it." Ethan smiled, his eyes sparkling. "Thanks, Jake. That means a lot coming from you." As they shared this moment, the tension outside the library continued to build. Whispers about their relationship began to circulate among their classmates, and Jake could feel the weight of judgment looming over them. He knew it was only a matter of time before they would have to confront the reality of their situation. Later that week, while walking through the hall, Jake overheard a group of students talking. "Did you see Ethan and Jake? They're practically inseparable now," one girl remarked, her tone dripping with disbelief. "Right? I never thought Jake would go for a gamer," another added, laughter lacing her words. Jake felt a pang of irritation and embarrassment. "Did you hear that?" he asked, turning to Ethan, who stood beside him, his expression unreadable. "Yeah, I did," Ethan replied, his voice steady but tinged with unease. "People will talk. We can't let it get to us." "I know, but it's hard," Jake admitted, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "I hate that they're judging us." "They don't know us," Ethan said, a hint of defiance in his tone. "What matters is how we feel about each other." "True," Jake said, feeling a surge of warmth at Ethan's words. "I just wish it didn't have to be so complicated." As the days continued, they found solace in their time together, but the external pressures mounted. At lunch, the teasing from Jake's friends became more relentless. "So are you two officially a couple now?" Tyler asked one day, a smirk on his face. Jake felt a rush of heat as he shot Tyler a glare. "That's none of your business, man. Chill, I'm just messing with you," Tyler replied, raising his hands defensively. "But seriously, what's going on between you two?" Ethan shifted uncomfortably, clearly feeling the pressure of scrutiny. "We're just friends," he said, attempting to downplay their connection, but Jake could sense the tension in his voice. "Friends? Ha," Tyler continued, clearly unconvinced. "Sure looks like more than that." Jake's frustration boiled over. "Why does it matter to you? Just let us be." Tyler laughed, shrugging it off. "Whatever, man. Just be careful. You don't want to ruin your rep." As Tyler walked away, Jake felt a mix of anger and concern. He glanced at Ethan, who wore a thoughtful expression. "Are you okay?" Jake asked, trying to gauge Ethan's feelings. "I'm fine," Ethan replied. But Jake could sense the tension beneath the surface. "It's just hard to ignore what everyone is saying." "I get it," Jake said, his heart aching for Ethan. "But I don't want to hide what we have. We need to be honest about it." "Yeah, but how?" Ethan asked, his gaze searching. "What if it makes things worse?" Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation. "I don't know. But I do know I want to be with you, no matter what." The following weekend, Jake and Ethan planned to attend a local gaming convention together, a chance to escape the pressure of school and explore their shared interests. As they prepared for the event, Jake felt a surge of excitement. This would be their first outing as a couple, and he wanted it to be perfect. "Are you ready?" Jake asked, glancing over at Ethan, who was fiddling with his gaming backpack. "Yeah, just making sure I have everything," Ethan replied, his expression focused. "I want to check out the indie game booths." "I can't wait to see what they have," Jake said, feeling a mix of nerves and anticipation. As they arrived at the convention, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. The venue was filled with colorful displays, gamers of all ages, and the sound of laughter and excitement. Jake felt a rush of adrenaline as they stepped into the crowd, hand in hand. "This is amazing," Jake exclaimed, taking in the vibrant surroundings. "Look at all the booths." "I know, right?" Ethan said, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Let's check out that one over there." As they navigated the convention, Jake felt a sense of freedom he hadn't experienced in a long time. Being with Ethan felt natural, and he enjoyed seeing his passion come to life. They spent hours exploring booths, playing games, and sharing laughter, the pressures of their high school life fading into the background. But as they approached a particularly popular gaming booth, Jake felt a familiar sense of unease. A group of Jake's friends stood nearby, laughing and pointing. He could hear Tyler's voice carry through the crowd. "Look at those two. What a surprise." Jake felt a surge of frustration. "Let's just keep walking," he said, trying to pull Ethan away. Ethan glanced back, his expression conflicted. "No, it's fine. We can handle this." "Are you sure?" Jake asked, feeling protective. "I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I want to show them that I'm not afraid," Ethan replied, determination in his voice. As they approached the group, Tyler spotted them and smirked. "Hey, look who it is, the dynamic duo." Jake's heart raced. He could feel the judgment in the air, and Ethan stood tall beside him, refusing to back down. "Yeah, we're here." "What's the problem?" Ethan asked, a hint of defiance in his tone. "Just surprised to see you two together," one of Jake's friends said, laughter lacing his words. "Didn't think Jake would date a nerd." Jake felt his frustration boil over. "Ethan is not a nerd. He's amazing at what he does, and you need to show him some respect." Ethan glanced at Jake, surprise flickering in his eyes, but Jake pressed on. "If you can't handle it, then maybe you need to rethink who your friends are." The laughter faded, and for a moment there was silence. Jake's friends exchanged looks, their amusement replaced by uncertainty. Ethan stood beside Jake, a look of admiration on his face. "Wow, I didn't expect that from you." "Jake," Ethan said quietly. "I mean it," Jake replied, feeling a rush of protectiveness. "You deserve to be treated better than this." The moment hung between them, and Jake felt a sense of pride at standing up for Ethan. He could see the shift in the group's attitude, their previous bravado waning. "Whatever, man. We're just messing around," Tyler finally said, attempting to salvage the situation. "Yeah, we didn't mean anything by it," another friend added, but Jake could tell they had been put in their place. Just think before you speak next time, Ethan said, his tone steady. It's not funny. With that, he turned and began walking away, and Jake quickly followed. As they distanced themselves from the group, Jake felt a mix of relief and triumph. Thank you for standing up for me, Ethan said, glancing over his shoulder. I really appreciate it. Of course, Jake replied, feeling a sense of warmth bloom in his chest. You deserve it. I'm just tired of people thinking they can judge you. Let's not let them get to us, Ethan said, determination in his voice. We're here to enjoy the convention, and I'm not going to let their opinions ruin it. Agreed, Jake said, feeling invigorated by Ethan's confidence. They continued exploring the convention, and as the day unfolded, they found themselves sharing more moments of laughter and connection. The challenges they faced only seemed to strengthen their bond, and Jake felt a renewed sense of hope for their relationship. As the convention began to wind down, they made their way to a quieter area filled with cozy nooks for gaming. They found a corner where they could sit and relax, taking a moment to appreciate the energy around them. I'm really glad we came, Ethan said, leaning back against the wall. This has been one of the best days I've had in a long time. Same here, Jake replied, feeling content. I love seeing you light up like this. Ethan met Jake's gaze, a soft smile playing on his lips. You know, I never thought I'd connect with someone like this, especially not my rival. Jake felt a rush of warmth at Ethan's words. Neither did I, but it feels right, you know? Yeah, Ethan said, his voice growing serious. I'm just scared about what happens next. What do you mean, Jake asked, concerned. I mean, this can't last forever, right? We'll go back to school and it'll be like nothing happened, Ethan admitted, his vulnerability surfacing. Not if we don't want it to, Jake replied, feeling a sense of determination. We can choose how we want to navigate this. Ethan nodded, and Jake could see the wheels turning in his mind. But what if they can't accept us? Jake took a deep breath, gathering his thoughts. We'll figure it out together. We can't let anyone dictate how we feel. Ethan smiled, a flicker of hope in his eyes. Okay, I'm willing to try. As they sat there, the noise of the convention faded away, leaving only the two of them in their little bubble. Jake felt a sense of clarity wash over him. They had faced challenges, but together they could confront whatever came next. I'm glad we took this step, Jake said softly. It feels good to be honest about how we feel. Yeah, Ethan agreed, his voice steady. No more hiding. The day ended on a high note, filled with the promise of new beginnings. As they left the convention, hand in hand, Jake felt a sense of freedom he hadn't anticipated. He was ready to face the world with Ethan by his side, embracing whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would navigate their relationship, determined to forge a path that was uniquely theirs. And in that moment, Jake realized that love could emerge from the most unexpected places, just like a storm that had brought them together. The following week, the buzz around Jake and Ethan's relationship intensified. Whispers echoed through the hallways, and the pressure of high school scrutiny loomed heavily over them. Despite the anxiety, Jake felt a sense of determination to stand by Ethan and confront the challenges together. Each time they met in the halls or during lunch, they shared knowing glances that spoke volumes. One afternoon, as they sat under the old oak tree behind the school, Jake glanced at Ethan, who was doodling in a sketchbook. What are you working on? He asked, leaning closer to get a better look. Ethan looked up, his eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Just some character designs for a game I'm creating. I want to make them feel real, you know. Jake nodded, intrigued. That's amazing. You have such a talent for this. I can't wait to see the finished product. Ethan blushed slightly, appreciation evident in his expression. Thanks, Jake. It means a lot to have your support. As they continued to chat, the noise of the school faded into the background. Jake felt a sense of calm in Ethan's presence, a comfort that made the outside world feel less daunting. But as the days passed, the whispers grew louder. During lunch the next week, Tyler approached their table, a teasing grin plastered on his face. So, what's the deal with you and Ethan? Still playing games, or have you leveled up to something more? Jake felt his heart race at the jab. Can you not? He replied, irritation bubbling to the surface. It's really none of your business. Ethan shifted uncomfortably beside him, and Jake could see the impact of Tyler's words. Yeah, we're just friends, Ethan added quickly, though his tone lacked conviction. Friends, Tyler shot back, crossing his arms. You know, it's fine if you're more than friends. Just don't expect everyone to be cool with it." As Tyler walked away, Jake turned to Ethan, concern etched on his face. "I'm sorry about that. I thought we were past this." Ethan sighed, his expression downcast. "It's just hard to ignore what people are saying. I want to be honest about us, but it's like everyone is waiting for us to fail." "Then let's not give them that satisfaction," Jake said firmly, determination flooding through him. "We'll face this together." They spent the rest of lunch discussing their feelings, drawing strength from each other. Jake felt a sense of solidarity with Ethan, and they both knew they could tackle whatever lay ahead. As the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. Later that week, they decided to attend a local art exhibit featuring student work. Ethan was excited to see some of his friends' projects displayed, and Jake was eager to support him. As they walked through the gallery, Ethan animatedly pointed out different pieces, his passion shining through. "Look at that one," Ethan exclaimed, gesturing toward a large canvas. "The colors are incredible, and the way they capture emotion is just brilliant." Jake admired the artwork, feeling a surge of pride for Ethan. "You know, you have a real eye for this. You should consider showcasing your work someday." "Maybe," Ethan said, a hint of hesitation in his voice. "But it's intimidating. What if no one likes it?" "Who cares what they think?" Jake replied, his tone supportive. "You create for yourself. That's what matters." Ethan smiled, his confidence bolstered by Jake's encouragement. They continued through the exhibit, sharing thoughts and opinions on various pieces, their connection deepening with every conversation. As they approached a particularly striking piece, Jake felt a sense of intimacy envelop them. He leaned in closer, their shoulders brushing, and he could feel the warmth radiating from Ethan. "I love how this one speaks to us," Jake said softly, his heart racing. Ethan looked at him, his expression thoughtful. "Yeah, it's like it captures the chaos we're feeling." In that moment, Jake felt the urge to lean closer, to bridge the small distance between them. But just as he considered it, a group of students passed by, their laughter shattering the atmosphere. "Come on, let's grab some snacks," Ethan suggested, pulling away from the moment. Jake nodded, trying to shake off the lingering tension. As they made their way to the snack table, Jake noticed a few classmates whispering and stealing glances their way. He could feel the weight of their stares, and it sent a wave of anxiety through him. "Do you think they're talking about us?" Jake asked quietly, his gaze flicking to the group. "Probably," Ethan replied, a hint of defiance in his voice. "But let them. We're not doing anything wrong." "I just hate feeling like a spectacle," Jake admitted, frustration evident in his tone. "It's not fair to you." Ethan paused, looking Jake in the eye. "We can't let their opinions dictate how we feel. You're worth it, Jake, and I'm not ashamed of us." Jake felt a rush of warmth at Ethan's words. "You're right. I want to be honest about this, no matter what." They spent the rest of the evening navigating the gallery, but Jake couldn't shake the feeling that the outside world was intruding on their moment. As they left the exhibit, he felt a mix of relief and apprehension. "Thanks for coming with me," Ethan said as they walked home. "It was nice to just enjoy art and forget about everything else for a while." "Of course," Jake replied, feeling grateful for their time together. "I wouldn't want to be anywhere else." As they reached Ethan's front porch, the mood shifted. They stood facing each other, the evening air thick with unspoken words. Jake felt a surge of courage, ready to confront the feelings that had been building between them. "Ethan," he began, his voice steady. "I need to tell you something." "What is it?" Ethan asked, his expression curious. "I really like you." "More than just friends," Jake confessed, feeling the weight of his words. Ethan's eyes widened in surprise, and for a moment the world around them faded away. "I like you too," Jake, he admitted, his voice soft. "I've been trying to figure out how to say it." Jake felt a rush of relief wash over him. "Then let's not hide anymore. We'll face whatever comes next together." Ethan smiled, a sense of hope blossoming between them. "Yeah, together." As they exchanged lingering glances, Jake felt a warmth envelop him. But just then, the front door swung open, and Ethan's younger sister appeared, interrupting the moment. "Hey, Ethan. Are you coming in?" "Dinner's ready," she called out, oblivious to the tension that had just broken between them. Ethan chuckled, turning back to Jake. "I guess that's my cue." "Yeah, go eat," Jake said, feeling both disappointed and relieved. "We'll talk more later." "Definitely," Ethan replied, giving Jake one last smile before heading inside. As Jake walked home, he felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. The confession had changed everything, and he couldn't shake the feeling that their relationship was on the brink of something beautiful. The next few days were filled with a mixture of joy and anxiety. Jake and Ethan spent more time together, each interaction deepening their bond. But the external pressures remained, and whispers about their relationship followed them like a shadow. At school, Tyler and the others continued to tease Jake, but he found himself less affected by their jabs. He had Ethan by his side, and that made all the difference. One afternoon, while walking through the halls, Jake noticed a group of students staring at him and Ethan. He could feel the weight of their judgment, but this time he stood tall. "Let them talk," he whispered to Ethan, who walked confidently beside him. As they approached the cafeteria, Jake felt a surge of courage. "Let's sit at the main table today," he suggested, determination in his voice. "Are you sure?" Ethan asked, a hint of concern in his tone. "Yeah. We're not going to hide anymore," Jake replied, feeling the weight of their choice. With that, they entered the cafeteria, their hearts racing. Jake spotted their usual table, surrounded by friends, and he could feel the tension in the air. "Look who it is," Tyler exclaimed as they approached. "The lovebirds have arrived." Jake held his head high, refusing to let Tyler's teasing get to him. "Yeah, and we're not going to hide it anymore," he said, his voice steady. Ethan nodded, a look of determination on his face. "This is who we are, and we're proud of it." The cafeteria fell silent for a moment, students exchanging surprised glances. But then, a few people began to clap, followed by a chorus of cheers. "Go for it, guys," one student shouted, and soon the room erupted in supportive shouts. Jake felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had taken a stand, and the response was overwhelmingly positive. He glanced at Ethan, whose eyes sparkled with a mix of disbelief and joy. As they sat down at the table, Jake felt a sense of freedom he hadn't experienced before. The laughter and support from their peers felt invigorating, solidifying their bond in the face of judgment. "See? Not so bad, right?" Jake said, a grin spreading across his face. Ethan laughed, relief evident in his voice. "Yeah, I guess I was worried for nothing." The days continued to unfold, and as Jake and Ethan navigated their relationship, they found joy in the little moments. Late-night gaming sessions turned into deep conversations, each revelation drawing them closer together. They faced challenges, but their connection grew stronger with each hurdle. One evening, while lounging at Jake's house, they found themselves nestled on the couch, surrounded by snacks and gaming controllers. "I'm glad we took this step," Ethan said, his voice soft as they played together. "It feels good to be honest about how we feel." "Yeah," Jake replied, feeling the warmth of Ethan's presence. No more hiding. As the night wore on, they shared laughter and playful banter, but an underlying tension began to build. Jake felt a mix of excitement and fear, realizing they were on the brink of something more. "Hey, can I ask you something?" Jake said suddenly, pausing the game. "Sure," Ethan replied, his eyes curious. "What do you think about us?" Taking this to the next level?" Jake asked, his heart racing. Ethan looked thoughtful for a moment. "Are you saying you want to? Like date?" "Yeah," Jake said, his voice steady. "I mean, if you're open to it." Ethan smiled, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "I'd love that, Jake. But it's also kind of scary." "I know," Jake admitted, feeling a rush of vulnerability. "But I think we can handle it together." As they sat together, the atmosphere shifted. Jake felt the weight of their confession settle around them, and he leaned in closer. "Let's take it slow," Ethan suggested, his voice low. "I want to enjoy this without any pressure." "Agreed," Jake replied, feeling a sense of relief wash over him. "We can take our time." They exchanged smiles, the connection between them deepening. As the evening unfolded, Jake felt a sense of hope for their future together. In the days that followed, Jake and Ethan began to explore their relationship more openly. They faced challenges, but each moment of connection strengthened their bond. They laughed together, shared secrets, and navigated the complexities of teenage life side by side. But the outside world still posed challenges. Rumors continued to swirl, and whispers followed them like shadows. Jake could feel the pressure mounting, but with Ethan by his side, he felt ready to face whatever came next. As they prepared for the upcoming school dance, Jake felt a mix of excitement and nerves. He wanted to ask Ethan to go with him, but the fear of judgment loomed large. One evening, while they were hanging out, Jake decided to take the plunge. "So, the dance is coming up," he began, glancing at Ethan. "Are you planning to go?" "Yeah, I was thinking about it," Ethan replied, his expression curious. "Why?" Jake took a deep breath, gathering his courage. "Would you want to go together?" Ethan's eyes widened in surprise, and Jake held his breath, waiting for a response. "Really? You want to go with me?" "Of course," Jake said, feeling a rush of warmth. "I want to show everyone that we're together." Ethan smiled, a look of excitement crossing his face. "I'd love that." As they made plans for the dance, Jake felt a surge of exhilaration. This was a new chapter for them, and he was ready to embrace it. When the night of the dance arrived, Jake felt a whirlwind of emotions. He wanted everything to be perfect. He arrived early, waiting nervously for Ethan to show up. When Ethan arrived, dressed in a sharp button-up shirt and jeans, Jake's heart raced. "You look amazing," he said, genuinely impressed. "Thanks. You look great too," Ethan replied, a blush creeping into his cheeks. As they entered the dance together, Jake felt a mix of nerves and excitement. The gym was decorated with twinkling lights, and the music pulsed through the air. "Ready to dance?" Ethan asked, a playful smile on his face. "Absolutely," Jake replied, feeling a rush of anticipation. As they made their way to the dance floor, Jake felt the weight of their relationship shift once more. They were no longer just rivals, they were partners, ready to face the world together. The night unfolded in a blur of laughter, dancing, and shared moments. They moved in sync to the music, their connection deepening with every beat. But as the evening progressed, Jake noticed the glances from other students. Some were supportive, while others seemed to judge. He felt the tension creep back in, but Ethan stood beside him, unwavering. "Let them look," Ethan said, leaning in close. "We're here to have fun, not worry about what they think." "Right," Jake replied, feeling a surge of confidence. As the final song played, Jake pulled Ethan closer, their bodies swaying to the rhythm. In that moment, everything else faded away. "I'm so glad we came," Jake said softly, looking into Ethan's eyes. "Me too," Ethan replied, his expression filled with warmth. "This feels amazing." Jake leaned in, feeling the electric connection between them. Their lips met in a gentle kiss, and the world around them seemed to disappear. As they pulled away, Jake felt a rush of exhilaration. They had taken a step forward, and in that moment he knew they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. The rest of the night was a blur of joy and laughter. They danced, shared stories, and embraced the beauty of their connection. Jake felt a sense of freedom he had never known before, and with Ethan by his side, he knew they could conquer anything. As they left the dance hand in hand, Jake felt a wave of optimism wash over him. Together they would navigate the trials of high school life, ready to embrace their love and all that came with it. The journey ahead might be filled with challenges, but they were prepared to face it together, stronger than ever. The weeks following the dance were a whirlwind of emotions for Jake and Ethan. They had taken a bold step into their relationship, and while their connection deepened, the pressures of high school life remained ever present. Rumors continued to swirl around them, but Jake felt a newfound strength, bolstered by Ethan's unwavering support. Together they navigated the complexities of teenage life, finding solace in their shared experiences. One afternoon, while walking through the halls, they heard snippets of conversation that sent Jake's heart racing. "Did you see those two? It's so weird," one student whispered, their tone laced with judgment. Ethan glanced at Jake, concern flickering in his eyes. "Do you think it'll ever stop?" Jake sighed, frustration bubbling to the surface. "Honestly, I don't know, but I'm tired of letting it get to me." As they continued down the hall, Jake felt a mix of determination and anxiety. He was ready to confront the world, but the weight of judgment from their peers hung heavy in the air. That weekend, they decided to spend some time together away from school, hoping to escape the pressures of their environment. They met at a local arcade, excited to indulge in their favorite games. The bright lights and sounds enveloped them, creating a perfect distraction from the outside world. "Let's see who can get the highest score on this one," Ethan challenged, pointing to a racing game. "You're on," Jake replied, feeling a rush of adrenaline. As they raced against each other, laughter filled the air, and the camaraderie they shared reminded Jake of how much he valued this connection. The thrill of competition mixed with the joy of simply being together felt liberating. After several rounds of games, they settled into a cozy booth, sharing a plate of fries. "This is nice," Jake said, glancing around at the bustling arcade. "Just us, no drama." "Agreed," Ethan replied, a soft smile on his face. "It feels like we can just be ourselves here." But as the day wore on, Jake felt a nagging worry creeping in. "What if we can't escape it forever?" he asked, his voice low. "The judgment, I mean." Ethan's expression shifted, a hint of seriousness entering his tone. "I think we have to learn to rise above it. We can't let their opinions dictate our happiness." "I know, but it's hard," Jake admitted, running a hand through his hair. "I want to be proud of what we have, not hide it." Ethan leaned closer, his eyes steady and reassuring. "Then let's make a pact. We'll support each other no matter what, and we'll be proud of who we are." Jake felt a wave of gratitude wash over him. "Deal. Together, right?" "Always," Ethan replied, a smile breaking through the tension. As they left the arcade, Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose. They walked side by side, fingers brushing together as they made their way home. It was a simple gesture, but it felt significant, a reminder of the bond they were building. The next day at school, Jake was met with a mix of support and judgment. Some classmates offered congratulations, while others continued to whisper behind their backs. The pressure was palpable, but Jake held on to Ethan's words, reminding himself that their happiness was worth it. During lunch, they found a quieter corner of the cafeteria, away from the prying eyes. "How are you holding up?" Ethan asked, concern evident in his tone. "I'm okay," Jake replied, though he could feel the weight of their peers' judgment pressing down on him. "It's just complicated." Ethan nodded, understanding. "We knew it wouldn't be easy, but we can handle it." Just then, Tyler approached their table, a teasing grin plastered on his face. "So how's the love life, you two?" Jake shot Tyler a glare, frustration bubbling to the surface. "Can you not? We're trying to eat." "Relax, man. I'm just messing around," Tyler replied, raising his hands defensively. "But seriously, you two look like you're in your own little world." Ethan met Jake's gaze, a mixture of amusement and irritation dancing in his eyes. "Maybe we are," he said, a playful smile spreading across his face. Jake couldn't help but laugh at Ethan's response, feeling the tension ease. "Let's just enjoy our lunch, okay?" Fine, Tyler said, rolling his eyes but unable to hide his grin. "Just don't forget who you are." After lunch, Jake and Ethan spent more time together, studying and playing games. The comfort of each other's company made the pressures of school feel manageable, but as the week progressed, Jake could sense Ethan's unease. "Are you okay?" Jake asked one afternoon as they sat in Ethan's living room, the weight of silence heavy in the air. "I'm fine," Ethan replied, but Jake could see the worry etched on his face. "Really? Because it feels like something's bothering you," Jake pressed, concern evident in his voice. Ethan took a deep breath, his gaze shifting to the floor. "It's just, I feel like I'm losing myself in this whole thing. I want to be with you, but I don't want to lose who I am in the process." Jake felt a pang of empathy. "I get that. I don't want to change either. But we can be ourselves together." Ethan nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "I just don't want the world to dictate how we feel." Jake reached for Ethan's hand, intertwining their fingers. "Then let's promise to keep being honest with each other. We can face whatever comes together." "I'd like that," Ethan replied, a flicker of hope in his eyes. As they sat together, their connection deepened. The worries of the outside world faded as they focused on each other, the warmth of their bond providing comfort in the midst of uncertainty. A few days later, Jake and Ethan decided to attend a local open mic night, a chance to showcase their talents and enjoy a night out. Jake was excited to perform with his band, but he also wanted to support Ethan in his passion for gaming. As they arrived at the venue, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. The dim lights and upbeat music created a lively backdrop, and Jake felt a rush of excitement. "This is going to be fun," he exclaimed, scanning the crowd. "Definitely. I can't wait to see you perform," Ethan replied, his enthusiasm evident. As the night progressed, Jake took the stage with his band, and the cheers from the crowd fueled his confidence. He lost himself in the music, pouring his heart into each note. When he finished, the applause echoed through the room, and Jake felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him. After the performance, he joined Ethan at the bar, where Ethan was animatedly discussing game design with a friend. "You were amazing," Ethan exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with pride. "Thanks. I had a blast, Jake replied, feeling the warmth of Ethan's support. As the night continued, Ethan felt more at ease, and they found themselves laughing and enjoying each other's company. But as they stepped outside for some fresh air, Jake sensed a shift in the atmosphere. "Do you feel that?" Jake asked, glancing around the empty street. Ethan nodded, a frown crossing his face. "Yeah, it feels different out here." Suddenly, a group of students approached, their laughter cutting through the night air. Jake's heart sank as he recognized the familiar faces, his classmates, led by Tyler. "Look who it is," Tyler called out, a teasing grin on his face. "The lovebirds are out for a stroll." Jake felt his stomach twist in knots. "Can't you leave us alone for one night?" he snapped, irritation boiling over. "Relax, man. We're just having some fun," one of Tyler's friends chimed in, laughter lacing his words. Ethan shifted beside Jake, clearly uncomfortable. "We're not in the mood for games," he said firmly. Tyler smirked, unfazed by Ethan's words. "What's wrong? Afraid to show the world what you two are?" Jake felt a rush of anger. "You don't get to dictate how we feel. This is who we are, and we're proud of it." The group fell silent for a moment, surprise flickering across their faces. Jake could feel the weight of judgment in the air, but he stood tall, refusing to back down. "Whatever, man," Tyler finally said, a hint of annoyance creeping into his tone. "Just remember who you are." As the group walked away, Jake turned to Ethan, concern etched on his face. "Are you okay?" Ethan took a deep breath, his expression conflicted. "I don't know. It just hurts to hear that from people who are supposed to be friends." Jake nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "I'm sorry you had to deal with that. But I want you to know that I care about you. We can't let them get to us." Ethan smiled softly, appreciation evident in his eyes. "Thanks, Jake, that means a lot." As they walked home, hand in hand, Jake felt a sense of determination wash over him. They had faced challenges together, and he was ready to confront whatever lay ahead. The next few days unfolded with a mix of challenges and triumphs. Jake and Ethan continued to explore their relationship, finding joy in the little moments while navigating the complexities of high school life. They faced whispers and judgment, but they were stronger together. One afternoon, they found themselves studying in Jake's room, surrounded by books and snacks. "I can't believe how much homework we have," Jake groaned, running a hand through his hair. "I know, right? It's like they want to stress us out," Ethan replied, a grin breaking through his frustration. As they worked, Jake couldn't help but feel grateful for the connection they shared. Each moment of laughter and support brought them closer, and he felt a sense of comfort in Ethan's presence. Later that week, they planned to attend another event together, this time a local festival celebrating art and culture. Jake was excited to experience it with Ethan, and he knew it would be a chance to enjoy each other's company away from the pressures of school. As they arrived at the festival, the atmosphere buzzed with energy. Colorful booths lined the streets, filled with local artisans and performers showcasing their talents. Jake felt a rush of excitement as they wandered through the stalls, soaking in the vibrant surroundings. "This is amazing," Ethan exclaimed, his eyes lighting up as they approached an art booth. "Look at that painting." Jake smiled, watching Ethan admire the artwork. "You really have a passion for this, don't you?" "I do," Ethan replied, a sense of joy evident in his voice. "I love seeing what others create. It inspires me." As they explored the festival, Jake felt a sense of freedom. They shared laughter, tasted delicious food, and enjoyed the lively atmosphere. For a moment, the outside world faded away, leaving only the two of them. But as the night wore on, Jake noticed a few familiar faces from school in the crowd. He felt a flicker of anxiety at the thought of being judged again. "Do you see them?" he whispered to Ethan, nodding toward a group of students. Ethan glanced over, concern creeping into his expression. "Yeah, I do, but let's not let it ruin our night. We're here to have fun." Jake nodded, determination settling in. "You're right. Let's just enjoy this." As the evening progressed, they participated in games and watched performances, their connection deepening with every shared moment. They danced to live music, losing themselves in the rhythm and each other. When the fireworks began to light up the sky, Jake pulled Ethan closer, feeling a rush of excitement. "This is incredible," he shouted over the noise. "It really is," Ethan replied, a look of wonder in his eyes. As the fireworks exploded in vibrant colors, Jake felt a sense of magic in the air. He leaned in closer, feeling the warmth of Ethan's body against his. In that moment, everything else faded away. "Jake," Ethan said softly, his voice barely audible above the noise. "I'm so glad we're here together." "Me too," Jake replied, his heart racing. "You make everything feel better." As they stood beneath the fireworks, Jake leaned in and captured Ethan's lips in a soft kiss. It was a moment filled with warmth and tenderness, a culmination of everything they had built together. When they pulled away, Ethan smiled, his cheeks flushed with happiness. Wow, that was amazing. Jake felt a rush of exhilaration. "I've wanted to do that for a while now." Ethan's eyes sparkled with delight. "Me too." As the night continued, they embraced the joy of their connection, the world around them a blur of color and sound. Jake felt a sense of hope for their future, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The weeks that followed were filled with a mix of joy and challenges. Jake and Ethan continued to grow closer, but the outside world remained a source of pressure. They faced judgment from some classmates, but with each hurdle, they became stronger together. One day, as they walked through the halls, Jake noticed a group of students whispering and pointing at them. "Look at those two," one girl said, her tone laced with disdain. Jake felt a rush of anger but tried to keep his composure. "Ignore them," Ethan said quietly, squeezing Jake's hand. "We're stronger than this." As they continued down the hall, Jake felt a surge of determination. He wouldn't let the judgment of others dictate their happiness. "You're right," he said, feeling Ethan's support beside him. "We can handle this together." They spent more time exploring their relationship, sharing laughter and creating memories that solidified their bond. Late-night gaming sessions turned into deep conversations, each revelation drawing them closer. But as the pressures mounted, Jake felt the weight of expectation creeping in. He knew they had to confront the outside world together, ready to embrace their love without fear. And so, as they walked hand in hand through the halls of their high school, Jake felt a surge of hope for the future. With Ethan by his side, he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in their journey. The weeks rolled on, and the exhilaration of their relationship began to settle into a comfortable routine. Jake and Ethan embraced their connection, navigating the ups and downs of high school life together. While the judgment from some classmates still lingered, they focused on building their bond, finding joy in shared experiences and mutual support. Yet, as their connection deepened, the pressures of their peers began to take a toll. One afternoon, they sat together in the library, studying for an upcoming exam. The atmosphere was quiet, but Jake could feel the tension simmering beneath the surface. He glanced at Ethan, who was scribbling notes intently, a furrow of concentration on his brow. "Hey, are you okay?" Jake asked, noticing the way Ethan's fingers gripped the pencil tightly. Ethan looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. "Yeah, I'm fine. Just trying to focus on this math stuff." "Math is a pain," Jake said with a sympathetic smile. "But you've got this." Ethan smiled back, though Jake could sense the underlying worry. "Thanks. It's just hard to ignore what people are saying about us. I feel like everyone's watching." Jake felt a pang of empathy. "I know it's tough, but we're doing this together, right? We can handle whatever they throw at us." Ethan nodded, but the uncertainty lingered in his eyes. "I just don't want this to affect our grades or our future." "We'll make it work," Jake said, determination in his voice. "And if it gets too much, we can talk about it." As they continued studying, Jake made a mental note to keep an eye on Ethan. He could sense that the pressure of their relationship was weighing on him, and he wanted to ensure they faced it together. A few days later, during lunch, the atmosphere shifted. As Jake and Ethan settled at their usual table, Tyler approached with a few of his friends. "Hey, lovebirds, you two still an item?" he teased, a smirk plastered across his face. Jake felt his face heat up, frustration boiling beneath the surface. "Can you just back off for once?" he snapped, irritation lacing his words. Tyler raised an eyebrow, feigning innocence. "Relax, man. Just trying to have some fun." Ethan shifted uncomfortably beside Jake, and Jake could sense the tension in the air. "We're just trying to enjoy our lunch," Ethan said, his voice firm. "Yeah, whatever." Tyler shrugged, but Jake could see the mockery in his eyes. "Just don't say I didn't warn you." As Tyler and his friends walked away, Jake turned to Ethan, concern etched on his face. "I'm really sorry about that. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable." "I'm okay," Ethan replied, though his expression was still troubled. It's just hard to ignore the comments. I want to be proud of us. Jake reached across the table, intertwining their fingers. We'll get through this. Together. After lunch, Jake decided to talk to Tyler about the teasing. He found him in the locker room, surrounded by teammates. Hey, can we talk? Jake said, his tone serious. Sure, what's up? Tyler asked, looking surprised. I need you to lay off Ethan, Jake said, feeling a surge of determination. He's a great guy, and I don't want your jokes to hurt him. Tyler's expression shifted, and he leaned back against the lockers. Come on, man. It's all in good fun. It doesn't feel that way to him, Jake replied, frustration rising in his chest. We're trying to build something real here, and I don't want your jokes to ruin it. Tyler looked thoughtful for a moment. All right, I get it. I'll try to tone it down. But you know how this works, right? You can't expect everyone to be cool with it. I know, Jake said, feeling a mixture of relief and determination. But we deserve to be happy without judgment. Later that week, Jake and Ethan planned a weekend getaway to the nearby lake. They wanted to escape the pressures of school and enjoy each other's company without the prying eyes of classmates. As they packed their bags, excitement bubbled between them. Are you ready for this? Jake asked, a grin on his face as he tossed a towel into his backpack. Absolutely. I can't wait to just relax, Ethan replied, his enthusiasm infectious. As they drove to the lake, the atmosphere shifted. The road was lined with trees, the sun shining down, casting a warm glow over everything. Jake felt a sense of freedom wash over him, a reprieve from the pressures of their lives. When they arrived, the beauty of the lake took their breath away. The water sparkled under the sunlight, and the sound of nature surrounded them. This is incredible, Jake exclaimed, stepping out of the car. Yeah, it's perfect, Ethan agreed, a smile spreading across his face. They set up their spot by the water, spreading out towels and unpacking snacks. As they settled in, Jake felt a sense of peace enveloping them. They spent the afternoon swimming, splashing water at each other and laughing, the worries of the outside world fading into the background. After a while, they sat on the shore, enjoying the warmth of the sun. I'm really glad we did this, Jake said, leaning back on his hands. Me too, Ethan replied, his expression softening. It's nice to escape everything for a bit. Jake turned to Ethan, feeling a surge of affection. You know, I've never felt this way about anyone before, he admitted, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Ethan's gaze met his, and for a moment the world around them faded away. I feel the same, he said softly. It's like you understand me in a way no one else does. Jake felt his heart race at Ethan's words. Let's promise to keep being honest with each other, no matter what happens. I promise, Ethan replied, a genuine smile lighting up his face. As the sun began to set, casting a golden glow over the lake, they shared a moment of silence, simply enjoying each other's presence. But the serenity was soon interrupted by the sound of laughter coming from a nearby group of students. Jake recognized a few faces from school, and his heart sank. Great. Just what we need, Jake muttered, frustration creeping in. Ethan glanced over, his expression uncertain. Do you think they'll come over here? Probably, Jake said, feeling the tension rise. Just let me handle it. As the group approached, Jake could feel the weight of judgment in the air. Hey, look who it is. The lovebirds, one of the girls called out, her tone dripping with mockery. Jake felt a surge of anger but stood tall, refusing to let their words get to him. What do you want? He shot back, irritation lacing his tone. Just wanted to see how you two lovebirds were doing, another student chimed in, laughter echoing among the group. Ethan shifted beside Jake, his discomfort evident. We're fine. We're just trying to enjoy the lake. Yeah, sure, the girl said with a smirk. Just don't get too cozy. You wouldn't want to ruin your reputation. Jake felt his frustration boil over. You know what? We're here to have a good time, and I won't let you ruin it for us. Ethan glanced at Jake, surprise evident in his eyes. Exactly. We're not going to hide anymore. The group fell silent for a moment, taken aback by their boldness. But then one of the boys laughed dismissively. Whatever, man, just remember, you can't be with a nerd forever. Jake felt a rush of anger. And what's wrong with being a nerd? At least Ethan knows what he wants. With that, the group turned and walked away, laughter fading into the distance. Jake turned to Ethan, feeling a mix of relief and pride. I'm really proud of you for standing up for yourself. Thanks, Ethan said, his expression softening. But it still hurts to hear those things. I know, Jake replied, feeling empathy wash over him. But we can't let them dictate our happiness. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the lake, Jake felt a sense of clarity. They had faced challenges together, and the bond between them had only grown stronger. Later that night, as they sat by the campfire, roasting marshmallows, the atmosphere felt warm and inviting. "This is nice," Ethan said, looking at the flames dancing in front of them. "Yeah, it really is," Jake replied, his heart full. "I love spending time with you like this." Ethan turned to him, a soft smile on his lips. "Me too. It feels like we can be ourselves." As the night wore on, they shared stories and laughter, the worries of the outside world fading away. But as they prepared to sleep, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that their relationship was still under scrutiny. "I just want us to be able to enjoy moments like this without the pressure," Jake said, his voice low. Ethan nodded, understanding. "I do too. But I think we're stronger than that. We can face whatever comes our way." The next morning they awoke to the sound of birds chirping and the sun shining brightly. Jake felt a rush of energy as they prepared to head back to school. The weekend had rejuvenated him, and he felt ready to tackle whatever lay ahead. As they arrived at school, Jake felt a surge of determination. "Let's show them that we're not afraid," he said, glancing at Ethan. "Together," Ethan replied, a hint of excitement in his voice. Walking through the halls, they faced curious glances, but Jake held his head high. He felt empowered by their shared experience and the connection they had built. In the following days, they continued to support each other through the challenges of high school life. They navigated judgment, whispers, and the ups and downs of teenage relationships, but their bond remained unshaken. One afternoon, while studying together, Jake felt a sense of clarity wash over him. "You know, I've been thinking about our future," he said, glancing at Ethan. Ethan looked up, curiosity evident in his eyes. "What do you mean?" "I want to explore this more seriously," Jake confessed, vulnerability creeping into his voice. "I don't want to just be a phase. I want us to grow together." Ethan smiled, warmth flooding his expression. "I want that too. It's scary, but I believe in us." Jake felt a rush of hope. "Then, let's commit to this. Whatever it takes." They continued to navigate the challenges ahead, facing their fears and embracing their love. The outside world still posed challenges, but together, they were ready to confront them head-on. As they approached the final months of the school year, Jake and Ethan found strength in each other. They supported one another through exams, challenges, and the ever-present judgment from their peers. But as graduation approached, the pressures began to mount. The excitement of the future mixed with anxiety about what lay ahead. One day, while walking through the hall, Ethan paused, concern etched on his face. "Are you nervous about what happens after graduation?" Jake nodded, feeling a mix of apprehension. "A little. I want to make this work, but I also know we're heading into different paths." "I get that," Ethan replied, his expression thoughtful. "But I believe we can make it work if we both want it." Jake smiled, feeling reassured by Ethan's words. "You're right. We just have to keep communicating and supporting each other." As graduation day approached, they faced the final stretch together. The challenges of high school began to feel like a distant memory, replaced by the excitement of new beginnings. On graduation day, the atmosphere was electric. Friends and family gathered to celebrate the accomplishments of their loved ones. Jake felt a rush of excitement as he donned his cap and gown, ready to take the next step into adulthood. Ethan stood beside him, a proud smile on his face. "We did it, Jake. We made it through." "Yeah, we did," Jake exclaimed, feeling a sense of pride wash over him. As they walked across the stage to receive their diplomas, Jake felt a wave of accomplishment. He had overcome challenges and built a connection that was stronger than he had ever anticipated. After the ceremony, they celebrated with friends and family, laughter and joy filling the air. But amidst the excitement, Jake couldn't help but feel a twinge of anxiety about the future. "Are you ready for this?" Ethan asked, sensing Jake's unease. "I think so," Jake replied, his voice steady. "But it's also a little scary." Ethan nodded, understanding. "It's okay to feel that way. We're stepping into a new chapter together." As they stood together, surrounded by friends and family, Jake felt a sense of hope for the future. They had faced challenges, navigated judgment, and emerged stronger together. With Ethan by his side, he felt ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. The world was wide open, and they were prepared to explore it together. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the celebration, Jake felt a rush of gratitude for the journey they had taken. He had found love in the most unexpected place, and he was determined to cherish it for all that it was worth. Hand in hand, they stepped into the future, ready to embrace the challenges and triumphs that awaited them. Together, they would navigate the complexities of life, love, and everything in between. The summer after graduation unfolded with a mixture of excitement and uncertainty for Jake and Ethan. With the world opening up before them, both felt the weight of new beginnings while navigating the challenges of their evolving relationship. They had survived the scrutiny of high school, but as they transitioned into adulthood, questions loomed about what the future would hold for them. Jake spent the summer working at a local sports camp, coaching younger kids and enjoying the thrill of athletics. Each day felt like a new adventure, and he appreciated the familiarity of the routine. Yet in quiet moments he found himself thinking about Ethan and the future they had talked about. One evening, as he returned home from work, he spotted Ethan sitting on the porch, sketching in his notebook. "Hey, what are you working on?" Jake called out, a smile spreading across his face. Ethan looked up, his eyes lighting up at the sight of Jake. "Just some character designs for my new game concept. Want to see?" "Absolutely," Jake replied, moving closer to get a better look. Ethan flipped through the pages, revealing a collection of imaginative characters and intricate designs. "This one is a warrior princess who can control the elements," he explained, excitement evident in his voice. "I want her to be strong but also vulnerable." "That's incredible," Jake said, genuinely impressed. "You have such a talent for this. I can totally see this character coming to life." Ethan's cheeks flushed slightly at the compliment. "Thanks, Jake. It's nice to have your support. It gives me more motivation to keep going." As the summer days stretched on, they spent more time together, exploring new places and deepening their connection. They visited art galleries, attended outdoor concerts, and took long walks through the park, where they talked about their hopes and dreams. But beneath the excitement, a layer of anxiety lingered. "What are your plans for the fall?" Ethan asked one evening as they strolled through a local art festival. The air was filled with laughter, music, and the vibrant colors of creativity. "I'm thinking about attending the community college nearby," Jake said, his voice steady but unsure. "I want to keep playing football and maybe study sports management." Ethan nodded, his expression thoughtful. "That sounds great. You'll be amazing at it. What about us, though?" Jake paused, feeling a mix of hope and apprehension. "I want us to make it work, no matter what happens. We can figure out the logistics later." Ethan smiled, a sense of relief washing over him. "I'd like that. I just don't want to lose what we have." As summer drew to a close, they faced the reality of change. Jake prepared for the start of classes, feeling the familiar mix of excitement and anxiety. Meanwhile, Ethan prepared for his journey into game design school, eager to explore his passion. The first day of classes arrived, and Jake found himself standing in front of the campus, his heart racing. He spotted Ethan across the courtyard, and a rush of warmth filled him. "Hey," he called, waving him over. Ethan smiled, his expression brightening. "You ready for this?" "Ready as I'll ever be," Jake replied, feeling a surge of confidence as they walked together. As they navigated the first few weeks of classes, they faced the challenges of balancing their education with their relationship. Jake's football schedule was demanding, while Ethan immersed himself in his studies, often staying late at the game design lab. Their time together became precious, filled with moments of laughter and understanding. One evening, after a long week, they met at their favorite coffee shop. "I feel like I hardly see you anymore," Jake said, stirring his drink thoughtfully. "I know it's been hectic," Ethan admitted, concern etched on his face. "But I don't want to lose touch. You mean too much to me." Jake smiled, feeling a rush of warmth. "Same here. Let's make a point to carve out time for each other, no matter how busy we get." "Deal," Ethan replied, his eyes shining with sincerity. "I want us to stay connected." As the semester progressed, they faced the pressures of school, sports, and the ever-present judgment of their peers. The whispers had faded slightly, but the tension remained. One afternoon, while Jake was at practice, he overheard some teammates talking. "What's up with Jake and that gamer?" one of them scoffed. Jake felt a wave of irritation wash over him, but he pushed it aside, focusing on his drills. He knew he couldn't let the opinions of others dictate how he felt about Ethan. Meanwhile, Ethan experienced similar challenges in his classes. Some of the guys in my program are pretty judgmental, he confided one evening as they sat on Jake's porch, watching the sunset. I feel like I have to prove myself. You shouldn't have to, Jake replied, frustration bubbling to the surface. Your talent speaks for itself. Don't let them get to you. I'll try, Ethan said, his voice steady. But it's hard when everyone seems to have an opinion. I'm proud of you for following your passion, Jake reassured him. Just keep doing what you love, and the rest will fall into place. As the months rolled on, they continued to support each other through the challenges. Their bond deepened, filled with shared moments of laughter, late-night conversations, and quiet understanding. Jake found himself falling more in love with Ethan every day, admiring his passion and determination. But as the holiday season approached, Jake felt a surge of anxiety. He wanted to introduce Ethan to his family, but he wasn't sure how they would react. Are you ready for this? Ethan asked one evening, sensing Jake's unease as they prepared for a family gathering. I think so, Jake replied, feeling a mix of hope and apprehension. But I just hope they accept us. Ethan smiled, a reassuring warmth in his eyes. No matter what happens, I'm here for you. We can face it together. When the day of the family gathering arrived, Jake felt a whirlwind of emotions. His parents had planned a big dinner, inviting relatives from out of town. As he and Ethan walked through the door, Jake felt a mix of excitement and fear. Here goes nothing, he muttered under his breath. Ethan squeezed his hand, offering silent support. We've got this. As they entered the living room, Jake's family was bustling about, greeting each other and preparing for dinner. Jake. There you are, his mother exclaimed, rushing over to hug him. We've missed you. Missed you too, Mom, Jake said, trying to keep his nerves in check. And who's this? She asked, her eyes landing on Ethan with curiosity. This is Ethan, Jake said, feeling a rush of pride. He's my boyfriend. His mother's expression shifted slightly, but she quickly smiled, extending her hand. Nice to meet you, Ethan. We've heard so much about you. Nice to meet you too, Mrs. Taylor, Ethan replied, shaking her hand. As the evening unfolded, Jake felt the tension ease. His family welcomed Ethan with open arms, and they engaged in lively conversation, sharing stories and laughter. But as the night progressed, Jake could sense some lingering judgment from a few distant relatives. Isn't it a bit unconventional for a football player to date a gamer? One relative remarked, raising an eyebrow. Jake felt a surge of irritation but quickly regained his composure. Ethan is incredibly talented, and he inspires me every day. Our differences make us stronger. Right, the relative said, a hint of skepticism in their voice. Ethan stood beside Jake, unwavering. I believe we all have our passions. Mine just happens to be gaming and design. Jake felt a swell of pride as he watched Ethan stand his ground. The love and support of his family made the challenges easier to face. Later in the evening, they found a moment alone in the kitchen, away from the chatter. You did great, Jake said, smiling at Ethan. I'm proud of how you handled that. Thanks. It wasn't easy, but I wanted to show them who I am, Ethan replied, his voice steady. Exactly, Jake said, feeling a rush of admiration. You're strong, and I love that about you. As they leaned against the counter, Jake felt a warmth enveloping them. No matter what, I want you to know that you're always welcome here, he said softly. Ethan smiled, a sense of gratitude shining in his eyes. That means a lot to me, Jake. Thank you for standing by me. As the holiday season continued, Jake and Ethan faced both joy and challenges. They celebrated together, finding moments of warmth amidst the chaos. But as the new year approached, a sense of uncertainty loomed. What are your plans for the future? Jake asked one night as they cuddled on the couch, the glow of the television lighting the room. I'm hoping to land an internship in game design, Ethan said, his voice thoughtful. It's what I really want to do. Jake felt a mixture of pride and apprehension. That sounds amazing, but it might mean we have to spend some time apart. Ethan nodded, understanding the weight of the moment. I know, but I think we can make it work. We've already faced so much together. I want you to follow your dreams, Jake said, sincerity evident in his voice. But I'm also scared about what it means for us. I get it, Ethan replied, a hint of vulnerability creeping into his tone. But we've built something special, and I don't want to lose that. As the conversation deepened, they explored their feelings and desires for the future. The bond they had forged felt strong enough to weather the storms ahead, and they found solace in each other's company. As they moved into the new year, Jake and Ethan faced the uncertainties of life together. The pressures of school and relationships remained, but they were committed to supporting each other through whatever challenges lay ahead. One evening, while sitting on Jake's porch, they reflected on the journey they had taken. "I never imagined I'd be here with you," Jake said, looking at Ethan with admiration. "Me neither," Ethan replied, a smile breaking across his face. "But I'm glad we found each other." As the stars twinkled above them, Jake felt a rush of hope for the future. They were ready to face whatever life threw at them, side by side, stronger than ever. The new year brought new challenges, but it also brought renewed hope. Together, Jake and Ethan navigated the complexities of life, love, and everything in between. With each passing day, their bond grew deeper, and they knew they were ready to embrace whatever came next. In the end, love had emerged from the most unexpected places, a storm that had brought them together, a journey that had solidified their connection. And as they stood on the brink of a new chapter, they felt a sense of excitement for the adventure that awaited them, hand in hand, ready to face the world.